Leave it to the man Goblin Slayer to basically try to be completely meta in what you could call a filler episode slash just breather episode. The man legit was about to walk out on the desk girl just because she wasn't actually offering him any goblin quest. That honestly had me dying. And I mean, there's just something about Goblin Slayer, like the character, not the series, but even the series too, but there's just something about the character Goblin Slayer that's just so enjoyable when the man's just like, is there any goblins? Is it about goblins? And they're like, no, and he just starts walking away. It's hilarious because the man, when you really think about it, the man's very capable to take down a lot of strong foes. I mean, look what we saw in the last episode. The man took down an ogre by using water pressure through a scroll that's opened up a gate to rip apart an ogre, and it's just ridiculous. You don't think like a portal or something like a gate could be used like that, but Goblin Slayer thought that, which is just like a 100 IQ, strat, or 200 IQ strat. The man is just insanely crazy and strong and is capable of taking out some pretty strong foes. And it's just hilarious that the man only cares about goblins. I mean, no matter what it is. And that's what I like about this episode, why I like his character, is that this is a filler episode. And the man was like, I need a goblin quest. And then the guild girl's like, no, it's not about that, but wait, I need your help. I started laughing. I don't know, just something about this series I just truly enjoy. But okay, getting into the main point of what this episode is about, let's talk about, the characters that were, displayed in this episode, which was these two adventurers, this girl and this boy, that were basically doing these low-level quests to be able to make money. Obviously, that's what, adventurers would do, and eventually, while they're in the sewer, the boy that uses the sword, he loses his sword fighting rats. He can't get it out of the rat, and then these, roaches come out of nowhere, and, they have to run away. Honestly, knowing how Goblin Slayer's been, especially with the first episode, I expected the boy and the girl to just get completely slaughtered, and they were gonna die. That's what I honestly expected while watching this episode, and I think many watching this episode probably thought the exact same thing. I was like, did, they just get killed or something? Did they, are they going to die? But obviously they got out, which, kind of made me happy, and it was very enjoyable just seeing, this series from a different perspective, giving some world building, and how these characters that are around the Goblin Slayer, how they interact with him, and how they go about their day-to-day life. But eventually, they ask Goblin Slayer for advice, and Goblin Slayer's like, if you don't have a weapon, I guess just pick up a weapon or a blade or sword or whatever from a goblin. And they're like, but we're not fighting goblins. And I'm just I love the man. I love how the man is just like, if you lose your weapon, just grab a weapon from a goblin. Start using it. Beat the crap out of him with it. And, we don't have that option. He's like, okay, then, get a club. A club is very effective, and, you can just beat them, and that's pretty much it. And I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, clubs are pretty effective in games. I mean, I have played some Dark Souls in my day, so I know, how effective a club can be. And since this is technically based off of tabletop games and, a variant maybe of D&D, it's clear as day that, what the Goblin Slayer is saying about a club is very true. I mean, you can go through the entirety of Dark Souls with just a reinforced club. Seriously, look it up online. You can find many YouTube videos of it. But anyways, when the dude finally gets the club and he just starts beating the crap out of the rats to the bugs and all that, and the girl behind him's like, so how's the club? He's like, I don't know, but every time I hit them really hard, it's very effective. And I'm like, is this some Fate stuff right now? This legit feels like Fate Stay Night. Oh, the archer class is really made up of a lot of archers. That's what I thought of when he said that about a club. I'm like, dude. Of course, if you hit someone really hard with a club, it's gonna hurt them. They're not Monkey D. Luffy. They're not Luffy from One Piece that's, immune to blunt objects. I mean, they're a freaking rat and a roach. So obviously, if you're gonna hit them real hard, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna probably do some brain damage or something. So just yeah, hilarious stuff. I'm just like, oh my god. But, anyways, besides that, we also have a little interesting scene with the mage girl that actually gave Goblin Slayer the scroll in, the last episode. So the adventurer, obviously, that needed a sword before he got the club and seeked advice from Goblin Slayer, he goes to the wizard, the sorceress girl, and she's like, here's a candle on it, a candle that'll allow you to find anything what you really want, which would be his sword. And she pulls it out, which I can't really, show it or talk about it too much because YouTube wouldn't like that too much, but she pulls out a candle from basically thin air, and it makes me question, whoa, how can you hide something like that? You must have like a pocket dimension or something like Ainz does in Overlord to be able to just constantly pull things out of nowhere. But anyway, she offers the man a candle, and as she was talking, it's like, look, if you don't want to use this to get your sword back, you could always just sell this and probably make, more money just selling this and getting your old sword back. For instance, the sword you get with the money might be a hell of a lot better, and it just, be better worth of your time. And it might be a better use of your time. And I'm just like, yeah, that does make sense and all that, and I'm glad that was kind of thrown in, because honestly, if I was given like an item like a candle and all that, and I realized how dangerous it was to fight roaches or giant rats and stuff like that, I probably would, want to sell that candle maybe to find a better sword. That's what I would do, honestly, if I was playing a video game and I was given an item and I knew I wasn't really going to use it for too long. I'd just sell it, get some money, be able to buy new equipment or whatever to be able to do the job I need to do. And, sadly, that didn't exactly happen, but even then, I'm still glad it kind of was brought up. Let's talk about what the Goblin Slayer had to do in this episode. So, for once, Goblin Slayer didn't actually have to eliminate goblins to be able to achieve something this episode. The guild girl actually is like, hey, look, I know it's not goblins, but could you help me out? Could you, help me, do these, different things I need to do in the office? You can be an observer. And he's like, sure, fine, I'll be an observer. And he was just sitting there in the room watching, while the, the desk girl, the guild girl, she was basically looking at the individual adventurers, sizing them up and asking, like, okay, so how'd you get so much money? How'd you get this certain equipment? And eventually, they detect the lies from the dude and was like, oh, okay, so basically you're telling me that you grabbed a chest, you found the chest, and you didn't tell your party, you took the spoils for yourself, made money from it, and, you think, you're better than anyone else. Like, he had this, ego about him where he felt like he was, basically better than everyone else, and, he deserved to go up in ranking, and the whole reason to why they were kind of judging him on that, putting him down, was because he wasn't working with the entire party. See, when you're playing, any type of game, or if you're in real life as well, if it was real life, obviously you should share the spoils with your team, because, it can be very bad if you don't share, certain equipment. Like, example, let's say you're in a party, you are, let's say, the rogue or assassin or whatever, and then you have an archer, you have, a mage, and then you have a tank. Let's say you opened up a chest and there was a bunch of tank items in it. And obviously, since you're not a tank, it doesn't matter to you, but if you turn around and sold those items, it would be like, what the hell, man? Like, that could have been better than your current tank's items, but you decided to sell it just for your own personal gain, where you could have had him get those items for you could do higher level dungeons or whatever to be able to get better equipment. So I understand where the guild girl was coming, why she was so upset, because you can't be stingy. Don't be a ninja looter, which is one of the reasons why I do not like people in World of Warcraft back in the past, of how they were constantly stealing loot, the best loot, even though their class did not need it. Let's also talk about how, in this episode, the adventurer that was actually being investigated by the guild girl, in his mind, there was a brief scene where he rushed at the guild girl with his knife, and it looked like he was about to actually do some physical harm to her, and the Goblin Slayer came out of nowhere and pretty much hit the man in the face. And honestly, when you think about something like that, that's, the Goblin Slayer is good enough to be able to do something like that, but it's also something that we really wouldn't expect from the man, because we know he only slays goblins, and it was really weird seeing animation where the Goblin Slayer literally jumped in to protect the girl. Even though it was like a dream sequence or whatever, it was still very interesting to see that type of sequence, and it just shows the ominous presence that the Goblin Slayer gives off. Even if he does look mainly weak or something, his armor doesn't look like it's crazy like, the typical adventurers. It still just says a lot that, the man didn't want to go at Goblin Slayer because, he was just very intimidating. He was just scary, just sitting there silent. Nobody could see his face or anything, just staring at this dude, and then he decided to walk off. But anyways, that's pretty much about it. It's a very simplistic episode. I enjoyed it overall, but it really was just more of a laid-back, chill episode, and that's about it. I mean, it's great. It had its own good moments. It just, you know, it's one of those type of episodes to where it didn't really progress the main plot, but it did set up, like, some more world building and characterization for side characters. But I want to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? How do you feel about what happened within this episode? How do you feel about, you know, the misadventures of the Goblin Slayer? I love you guys. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And also, one other thing, for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. So if you do want to get notified for whenever a video is uploaded, like I said, click that bell icon. And this goes for all YouTubers, not just me, but all YouTubers on the platform. It works just the same. I don't know why it's like that, but for some reason, you basically have to double subscribe. But with that, I love you guys. Chibi out.